For the longest time, so we started in 2018, and for the longest time we didn't really use the term NFT with the brands we work with, for the simple fact that actually they did not even know what NFT meant. For the last 6 months, it's really quite new. We start using the word NFT in all our presentations because the customers, people on the other side, actually understand what NFT, or at least they put some sense or some meaning on top of the word NFT. So here we're going to explain how do we use those NFTs to create better relationships between brands and their communities or creators in their communities, but also how we, with several examples, how we also create new communication layers. So I'll start with a slightly general presentation on how Arianee works, and then we'll go for 3 use cases, one with Satoshi Studio, which some of you might be familiar with, one with Breitling, which was our first really massive deployment, and I'll come with a slightly more perspective or a new tool we're building called Speakeasy. So first of all, what is Arianee? So Arianee really addresses 3 key challenges. The first, it's the authenticity and transparency, and that might be how some of you kind of know us, with the idea that, first of all, we create an NFT that's a digital identity for your product, and it serves as a proof of ownership, a proof of authenticity, and it records the history of the product. The second is really this idea of circularity, because once you have this digital identity, which is NFT-based, in your wallet, you can really keep transfer this NFT, this kind of digital passport, from one owner to the next. It really facilitates product care, it facilitates resale, and it facilitates even, in the end, recycling by storing some information on it to facilitate recycling. The third aspect, and that's the one that is ultimately the one that the brands are the most interested in, really all the brands we work with, is this idea of customer relationship 3.0, or like CRM 3.0. And it's how do you create new relationships like advanced loyalty programs, innovation services, other exclusive experiences, which are respectful of privacy, which is actually something extremely important for brands today because they see it more and more as the next frontier, the next luxury offering. The future of luxury for a lot of them, is anonymous clienteling, meaning you do not necessarily need to provide all your personal information in order to get the top service that they actually give you. And that's really what we'll try to focus on in the examples, in the use cases. So what is Arianee? Arianee is an NFT solutions for all valuables. So first of all, what an NFT, what an Arianee digital passport is, it's really a unique ID for your product. It's generated by the brand. While anybody can generate an NFT, we have a verified registry, a verified brand registry, which really enables brands to prove that they are who they are, and that is all managed by our nonprofit, where you actually get kind of a check mark, if you want, like on Twitter, to make sure that when Breitling, when you receive a certificate that says it's Breitling, it's actually been verified as coming from Breitling. Then you have of course, that NFT corresponds to the product. It's a digital twin. It includes all the information about the product, of course, how it was created, how it was manufactured, where everything comes from. It also enables the addition of history, which we'll see slightly later. It's of course transferable, so it's freely transferable. It's an NFT that's on a EVM sidechain of Ethereum, and it's freely transferable from one node to the next, which is actually something that brands do understand to a large extent, but was somewhat of a mind shift for a lot of them, meaning they really had to change their mind on that subject, because giving that full freedom to transfer this proof of ownership was something that they were somewhat scared of. But now actually most of the brands all the brands we work with find it actually an asset and understand that it's an asset, the fact that it's freely transferable from one owner to the next. And it also carries the history of the product, meaning that every time it changes hands, of course, you know who the new owner is, but we also have a little module, we have an NFT that is upgradable, meaning you can actually add stamps or add events to the product. So if your watch gets serviced, you can actually add an event that's time stamped and proves that your product was effectively serviced at this time, which, especially in the watch industry, is extremely important for the resale value of your product. And finally, it's really like a private and direct communication channel, and that's what will, meaning you can actually send a message to the current owner of the NFT at any time, and you do not necessarily know who that person is. You don't necessarily have information about that person. However, what you have is the certainty that this person is the current owner of your product. And that's really ultimately, you need all the other elements to enable this last point, but that's really the point that brands are extremely interested in. It's really what they find revolutionary in here. It's like, of course, it replaces the certificate of authenticity. It replaces it gives the little passport or booklet. But really, what's really interesting for them is the idea, is that concept that since that NFT is transferable from one person to another without having to share any personal information, they can really communicate with people without having to collect personal information. So to kind of show this in the wider context, the blockchain digital identity that we just talked about, it's really the idea of it's the item's identity, of course, and proves its authenticity, and gives other specific information about the product. It gives all the upstream traceability, meaning we're really not a supply chain project. We work with supply chain projects. Most recently, IBM actually joined the consortium for doing all supply chain traceability. We don't actually do this, but we incorporate all this information within the actual NFT or the digital passport, which really proves, at least records the information and makes it available to the owner of the product. Then the biggest part, really, of what happens once you've emitted those NFTs is everything we call the advanced customer relationship system. And here the idea is, because I can tell you own this product or this product, I can let you in a special experience. I can actually enable you to access some advanced customer services, like the e-warranty system that we'll take a look at with Breitling, which means that at any point you can actually access those services without having to prove your identity. Just show me what you own, and I'll give you access to this service. Of course, we're building new customer experiences. Done some interesting things with the Paris Fashion Week a couple weeks ago, really with accredited participants. And of course, you have this idea, which is, to us, what we really think where blockchain is the most the strongest use case is what we call downstream traceability, meaning the traceability after you have actually sold the product, meaning once it's in the hand of the owner, because you get the traceability of what happened to the product and to which, every time it changed hands. One of the big things also that brands are extremely interested is the idea that we enable them. Today, if you're a brand, really, you only have access to any customer that or any owner that you've actually interacted with through the your e-commerce platform or through your own retail stores. And you don't have any connection with the wholesale, the second-hand market, or gifts. The wholesale is like if you've sold via, a Galeries Lafayette here, the brand that actually created the product does not have any contact or any CRM or way to contact the actual owner. What we offer really with those digital passports is the possibility to finally access all this market of like people who bought via wholesale, people who bought via secondhand, or gifts that were given from someone who bought the product and then gifted it for birthdays or others. Just a little clarification on how we're built. The entire protocol is open source and decentralized, and anybody can access it. We do all updates, and our smart contracts are not updatable. All future updates, though, and we've already had 3 versions, are managed via a nonprofit, which has most of the brands that actually work or use the protocol at this moment. So you have brands like Vacheron Constantin, like Breitling, like, of course, Panerai, who are already using the protocol. And you have some smaller brands also, like maybe Satoshi Studio, which you might be familiar with if you're in crypto. And you also have some brands that are still at the concept phase or at the the pilot project phase. And those are extremely important as well because they're testing and they're really offering us a feedback loop constantly to tell us what are the new things we actually need to have in this protocol. And they're the ones decided ultimately what gets added to the new versions of the protocol. Another important part of the people, the members of this nonprofit are our partner members. And that's extremely important because while the protocol itself is open source and anybody can use it, you actually need people to create interfaces, really to integrate this protocol within their solutions. And ultimately, that's really one of the things that we're the most interested in if you are working for a company that creates CRM or ERP systems. We're always extremely interested in talking to you because you know, the Breitling project was a collaboration between us and Dentsu Tracking. Everything just implemented the Arianee protocol in their digital identity system, and they have an entire platform. And having those people really create those interfaces facilitates the adoption by all the different brands of the industry. All right, so let's go for use cases before I take questions. So when it comes to use cases, I'll start just with one of the really first one we did, which was with Satoshi, or one of the first ones we did, which was with Satoshi Studio, a brand you might be familiar with since it was a pair of sneakers, which I'm wearing here, who wanted to create an NFT for the proof of authenticity and proof of ownership of their sneakers. The way it worked was that you actually, the first version of Shoe came with a QR code that was attached, which is just a way to claim the certificate on an app. Here it's using actually the app that we provide, but anybody can create an app that's just a non-custodial wallet that enables you to claim your certificate. Now actually for the QR code, they're putting it directly on the shoe because they felt like it actually worked quite well in their design. And then the first little interaction that was interesting was that once you claim the NFT, you receive a message from Satoshi Studio. At no point do they know who you are ultimately. All they know is the fact that you actually claimed for the first time a new product. When you transfer the certificate, they keep that message, meaning that when they see that a new person there's a new owner to a product, they actually send you a message as well. And so you get that instant interaction when when you just received your product. You don't know they don't have your email address, they don't have any personal information. All they know is that you just received that product. And so they send a little welcome message and tell you, of course, don't hesitate to contact us if you'd like. And that was it. That was end of 2019, and that was really the first big application that we used. Since then, and I'll go for the second use case in a bit more details. The big thing that we implemented since the beginning of this year. So since January 1st, every Breitling watch comes with an Arianee certificate. And what Breitling did was really recreate their entire e-warranty system around the Arianee certificate. And why did they do that? It's because they're extremely interested in that notion of anonymous clienteling that I talked about. Their CTO is actually really pushing it extremely hard publicly, that idea of the next frontier for luxury is this idea of being able to serve your customer without actually taking their personal information, their email address, their socio-economical background, or any of those. So the way the entire process goes is that when you get your watch, you get a little card, which is kind of traditional in the watch industry, to receive a little card that's your proof of ownership and proof of authenticity with a QR code on it. So you scan that QR code and it enables you to download once again the NFT in the non-custodial wallet that you have on your phone. And then the main thing that happens is that on slide 5, you actually, within the certificate, there is the potentiality, there is a link that enables you to actually connect directly to the e-warranty system online and it will, without having to, the e-warranty system of Breitling, if you're not using the certificate, actually asks you to create an account, to have an email, to have a password. Now what you do is just you click on that link from the wallet, from the passport in your wallet on your phone, and automatically it sends you to your e-warranty system without having, it only authentifies you by the NFT that you have in your wallet. And then you can start interacting for your warranty system, for your warranty assistance. So if you need some repair or there's an issue with your watch, you can interact with a customer agent without ever having to provide any personal information. The only thing that why is that important for Breitling? It's because a lot of those luxury companies have issues with fakes, with people that actually try to get into their VIP programs without actually having, without really owning, being an actual owner of a watch. It's one of the brands we actually talked with explained to me that their VIP system, their registration, because it gives access to the VIP program of the brand, did not have any issues with having people register their products. They had too many people registering products, meaning they had more people registering products than actual products were sold. So people really want that access to this VIP service that the brand actually offers. And here, the only thing what you get here, and what's really the novelty, is this idea that just because you own this NFT on your phone or in your wallet, ultimately, you can access those VIP systems and those services that the brand actually offers. The last thing that we're kind of starting to work on is now, one of the difficulties that you have with our system today is still the fact that we need to create some easy interfaces for people to manage their NFTs. And that's because today, even though brands are starting to get interested by NFTs, it's still not what we find natural using MetaMask and all those tools is still not something that is natural for most of those brands' customers. And so we're starting to have actually some good use cases with brands, but to really touch a wider public, we're extremely interested in, of course, what happened in the NFT space and digital sphere, and so and that's one thing we're building and will be releasing in September, is to build a first interface that uses the same underlying protocol that we use for communication between people that own tokens, but enabling it with all the tools that you have for with MetaMask and all it on Polygon and Ethereum, and using targeting the crypto community to actually test and work with this protocol that we've created for the luxury brands. And the idea here is really simple. It's basically a token first or crypto first kind of telegram where you connect your MetaMask and it tells you here are all the different rooms that you can access if you based on what you own in your wallet. So if you own one Bored Ape Yacht Club, you could access the Bored Ape Yacht Club room. If you own X amount of Sushi Swap or Sushi, you could access the VIP room for Sushi Swap. Then you just connect it with, once again, using just your MetaMask wallet, and you get to talk on this private room that is only accessible to people where you know that everybody in here actually owns the same, the minimum requirement of tokens or NFTs. So we'll be starting to push this with the crypto community, and of course, it's something that's, I think, a lot of people are talking about it and building it. Just a few days ago, I think Aave announced that they were pushing a solution that uses kind of that similar thing that we're working on, meaning using the social graph that you have with tokens on chain to create new communication channels and decentralized communication channels. What we bring in here on top of that, and actually I talked with Jordan last night, and I think we'll really be looking at what Aave is doing on the social graph side. What we're bringing is all the decentralized messaging solutions that we have. And decentralized, or at least some are on-chain, some are off-chain, but always this notion of how do you send messages without actually just having an intermediary at some point, and always being able to get your personal information out of the communication. Of course, we're not doing this just for the crypto community, even though we love the crypto community. We're really doing it because tomorrow really think that this is where the future is going for community management and for new relationship or brand customer relationship management. So we think that exactly the same way you will have something where if you connect your wallet, you have X amount of sushi or a Bored Ape Yacht Club in your wallet, you will be able to access certain rooms. Tomorrow, maybe not with probably not with MetaMask, but with slightly better interfaces, which is one of the key things that we're working on as well. That is much easier to use for my parents, basically. You will have the same idea. I own, in my wallet, I can see I have a Breitling, and I have maybe some social tokens from Virgil Abloh, and I want to access those communities. I mean, I can only access them if I prove that I'm a true owner of one of those watches or those social tokens from this creator or this person in the community. And that we're convinced that that's where we're going. Brands are actually extremely convinced also. The big question is how do we make this flawless and seamless, and we'd be really interested in if any of you are actually interested in helping out or taking a look at how Speakeasy works, definitely reach out. This is one of the things that we'll be extremely interested in working on with anybody who wishes to. All right, well, thank you very much. I think I've managed to not go over time. Here you go. So good. Here are all my contacts if you want to reach out. You have here a little QR code to download a demo NFT if you'd like. You will have today to download the actual app, which enables you, which is a non-custodial wallet. You'll be able to claim one of those demo NFTs, which is a pure digital NFT, and try to see kind of like what people have the base experience of claiming an NFT. You can contact me at by email, website, Twitter, Telegram, or I guess just look for my Bored Ape on Twitter. It's getting me quite a lot of good feedback lately, just because I think actually Bored Ape is one of those great examples of how a community is building around this notion of owning something, and historically it was always owning a watch, owning a pair of sneakers. I think more and more it is true we're going also to those digital communities, and I think owning a CryptoPunk or a Bored Ape is probably similar to owning a Rolex, or CryptoPunk probably more like a Patek Philippe or a Richard Mille. But so once again, if you want to reach out, I'll be extremely interested in hearing what how you could help us work on this, especially Speakeasy. And now, if there are some questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Can you elaborate a bit more on why brands are not interested in personal information?
Yeah, of course. So it's not that they're not interested, meaning there are some that are interested, but then when we talk to a lot of brands, especially luxury brands, you'd be surprised the amount of kind of CIO or...
No, actually, no, that part is clear.
No, wait.
If you own Breitling, you sort of know.
Yeah.
I guess when you prepare some sort of scenarios for the next customer, what if it's a younger person? What if it's, there could be millions of
of course.
Things, and you base it on whatever information you collect.
Yeah.
So if it's not a luxury brand, are you limiting yourself? I guess, are you saying that this would only work with luxury brands?
No, I think luxury brands are kind of ahead of the curve here. And I think there's two different things. First is a lot of the CIOs we talk with at luxury brands, and I won't name names, but when you ask them, it's like, why are you collecting information? What are you using it for? And a lot of time it's like, well, because the CEO said that data is the new oil, and I need to collect it.
Because they don't know what to do with it.
Indeed.
It's a separate issue.
Indeed. So, but but that's something where they're collecting a bunch of data. They don't do anything with it because they don't know how to do anything with it. And the second thing that actually some brands have already told us, that we stopped collecting data, not because we wanted to provide better service or anything, because it was a liability for us. There's a jewelry brand actually in Hong Kong who told me this, like, we do not collect data on our customers anymore because we're scared of it being leaked. And Hong Kong, Macau, all those people that buy luxury goods over there are Chinese, usually important, or VIPs, and it's been a way to actually kind of target people and smear them by saying, oh, they bought this extremely expensive watch. So that's also something that they really tell us. And then there is really, as I said, the Breitling is really adamant about this. It's like they really think it's something that's going to come. It's a demand from the customers, and it's also something that really fits into their idea of a luxurious experience. And now really they say it's anonymity or private by design experiences are the new luxury. That's at least for Breitling, that's one of its motto now. Yes, of course.
Besides the NFTs, do you use any other standards?
So we're starting to look at 1155, of course, for certain types of product, because NFTs, well, especially on a chain with limited bandwidth, or block size, emitting one NFT per product. When you're starting to scale, is creating some problems for us. So yeah, using one of many solutions is actually something that we're looking into. And then some usual standards. I mean the usual standards, but nothing really novel now. Those are really the two main standards that we're using. Yes? That is an excellent question. And we have the possibility to store an IPFS plus Weave. Unfortunately, a lot of the brands we work with are like, well, not a lot of them, but several of them, it's a deal breaker to store information in a place where they actually do not know where the information is located. So we had early on to create solutions, well, which is pretty standard ultimately now, but where we actually create a hash of the file and store it directly into the NFT, the file with all the metadata, in order for anybody to be able to replicate the underlying file and be able to prove or reconnect if tomorrow the brand turns off the RPC server they use to store the information. Anybody can actually at least have a copy of the file and prove that it's a correct copy in the NFT. And that was something that when we started in 2018-19 was not necessarily standard. Now it's actually becoming a standard. That's great. But I'm a big believer in IPFS and using Weave on top of it. I think really makes, because IPFS alone is not sufficient. You actually need also a layer that incentivizes people to replicate those nodes, nodes that replicate the data. And IPFS with Weave is something we're offering. Well, especially when I try to explain to people when they ask for more detail, and you say, well, it's kind of like BitTorrent, then all of a sudden it's a terrible argument for our luxury groups, luxury brands that we work with. It's like, no, we don't want BitTorrent. So you say it's stored on different nodes. You don't necessarily know who it is, but I mean it's extremely secure. Still, it's for them. It's kind of like this idea of I don't know where that data is stored, and so it's a big issue for the data. To add another point on this, we had this issue also with just the idea of the NFT at the beginning. It's like if we don't know who the nodes are, if we don't control the nodes, I guess it's unsafe because this data is stored I don't know where. So the way they actually now understand really NFT as more of a touch point, as a link, is actually something that everybody understands and agrees with it and is okay with the idea that it's just a touch point and it doesn't matter where it's stored. But for the underlying data, it's still an issue, even encrypted and all those, any solution we provide for some brands is just no. A lot of luxury brands actually do not use even the cloud. They want their servers on premises because they want, to really have it with them and to have full control. So, excellent question, because it is really one of the challenges that we have with brands. Yes?
If I buy a battery and I get an NFT with that, can I use this NFT as a collateral to borrow on
So I love the idea, because I've been pitching Aave for quite a while on that. So that's something that doesn't exist today, but it's something that that I'd like to see, especially on watches. I mean, watches actually really make sense, because a lot of the marketing with watches is this idea that your watch is a reserve of value. I mean, Patek Philippe likes to say you never truly own a Patek Philippe, you only hold it for the next generation. And they really sell that idea that it's something that has value over time. And even for the second-hand, and it's somewhat proven by the second-hand market, by the way, because you always hear a lot about Vinted and all those companies that do second-hand luxury or second-hand fashion. But 75% of the sales, it's about 21 billion per year, the resale market for luxury and fashion goods. 75% of that number are watches. That's the biggest market. It's the most mature market for second-hand in luxury and fashion. It's watches. So it's something that really is already ingrained in the idea that I own something that is going to, that has value and that is a store of value already. So to get back to your question, one of the issues, of course, is that you have a physical good and that the person actually owns it, and you could lock the right to the, you could lock the actual NFT, but the watch would still be kind of out there being used, and then you fall into a lot of the difficulties of what happens if you get liquidated, and then the watch, of course, is unclaimable. You have to go through the legal system. Here, there is once again, because the second-hand market is so developed, there are a lot of solutions for consignment stores, like Watchfinder is one, Chrono 24, and you could totally imagine them doing the consignment, kind of being the third party that stores that watch, because that's already what they do. And it would be, and here we're talking about something less decentralized, but you're more akin to what Aave has done with Realty, for instance, on real estate, where you need kind of a third party in between that makes sure that once the watch can be claimed if it's liquidated, and second also is a liquidator, meaning someone that knows how to sell a watch once you're actually under collateralized on your loan. And so that is something that we're actually interested in, using really the DeFi infrastructure, even though in a more with some with a third party in between, but using the infrastructure that I think really will enable companies like Watchfinder, like Chrono 24, and all those platforms that are not financial services to actually provide a new service, which is collateralized loan or over collateralized loan. But it's definitely something we're looking at. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I have the thing that proves that I own it is the physical thing, but I kind of understand why you would buy a watch and get an NFT, and then you can use it in your digital character.
All right. So the little things that next week we're actually doing the first. We have one of our small brands called Agent 33, which is a pretty cool kind of the Gen Z brand. Is actually just came out with some sunglasses, and next week they'll be announcing. So. I hope nobody really tells this to everybody, but they will be announcing. Yeah, we should be okay. Normally, it's already been said a few times, but it's not the official announcement. But you will be able to claim a digital wearable in Decentraland. So we already have one brand that's ready to do it. It's still something that's a bit on that. Luxury brands don't quite understand yet. There are some experiments with Gucci, with a few brands that do pure digital, but the metaverse is still some place that is not well understood by brands, but I agree with you. It's coming, and this idea that your digital twin for your physical product is something you can wear also in the metaverse or the metaverses is something that we're of course extremely interested in, and especially for the sneakers market actually, because a lot of sneakerheads just buy sneakers, store them in their in their closet and never wear them, because if you wear them, you destroy the value. Here, at least you can wear them in Decentraland, the Sandbox, or hopefully maybe one day Fortnite. Who knows? But Fortnite is, as you know, closed system. Yes?
A question about Agent 33. What do you think pushed them, or what's special about Agent 33 that made them see the value of creating a bridge between the real life and the
I think because they already have some requests from their customers. That's a big thing. They had looked at different solutions to create some kind of digital fashion, and it is, I have to admit, a little bit to my surprise at the beginning, because I really didn't get digital fashion at the beginning, and I'm starting to get educated on the subject. But there is really a generation, and their focus on Gen Z, I think, is really what makes it something that people understand. Even if they don't actually go into Decentraland, even if they don't already are in those metaverses, they understand this idea of owning a digital fashion in the metaverse, something that clicks with them. Me being a good millennial slash almost boomer, I have to admit I still have some issues, but with the concept. But when I hear that now, when I was a kid, the thing that made you a kind of a loser in school was not having Nikes on your feet. And now I hear that in school yards, the insult is your default on Fortnite, meaning you only have the default skin on Fortnite. You don't have a custom skin. It is what it is. It was stupid back then when you were being singled out because you have sneakers, the right sneakers, and it's still stupid today. But it shows that it's actually become something in the culture, something that people understand, and it's definitely those young generations understand more than others. If there's any other questions, or I think we can also. All good, everybody? Well, if everybody's good, thank you very much for listening, and definitely reach out if you have any questions or others. We're always happy to share what we're doing, and of course, if you're interested in what Speakeasy will be doing, definitely something that I'll be happy to talk about. Thank you.